Today we have Caitlin Ibrahim on the line here. She has sold over 60,000 AP in just 1 month, 100% final expense over the phone. And today we're going to learn from Caitlin on how she crushes it. So Caitlin, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit here?
My name is Caitlin. I've been with SLS for a little over a year now. I've had no sale experience whatsoever when I started. I knew nothing about life insurance. My background was criminal justice, and I was a private investigator. I'm still licensed to do it, but I wasn't happy, and I knew sales could probably be my thing, so I decided to jump all in, and here I am.
Awesome, cool. Well, Caitlin, what we would like to do here is I would like to ask you a few questions about how you crush it as new agents. I see they get challenged with handling objections in the greeting, right? And they think, oh, no one's answering. This is so hard. They didn't do this. So what are the most common objections you run into in the greeting of your presentation?
That they already have insurance and they're not interested, or they just really just don't want to talk right now. They just hang up. But usually when I get the first, like, hey, I'm not interested, I usually push back with, well, is it because you already have coverage, or what were you interested in when you did inquire about this? And most of the time it's, I already got the coverage. So I dig a little farther into it and I ask, well, how long have you had the policy? What company are you with? How much coverage are you currently carrying, to kind of see if I can either add additional coverage to see if they, if they need to have more to have a total of a certain amount for a cremation or a burial, or if what they're carrying is not of any good to them and I could find something that would be beneficial as far as benefits and premium that would be cheaper.
Okay, cool. And what if someone tells you they're not interested?
I usually come back with, well, what were you interested in when you did inquire about it? And they kind of usually sometimes will be like, oh, well, I was just trying to get a quote, or I just wanted to see how much it was, going to cost or run me. And, I kind of try to take that and still push a little harder and run with it, because usually you can kind of open them up. And I usually try to get more personable with them as well. So once I start asking a little bit more questions and they're like, oh, okay, she's not just someone that's just sounding like a business person trying to get information out of me. I make it more of like, a conversation versus just a sale.
Okay, awesome. I love that. So try to kind of establish some sort of a relationship with them.
Right.
Cool. So after that, how do you handle after the greeting once you get someone through? Like take us through your presentation, I guess.
So as soon as I answer, I'll be like, Justin, I sound really enthusiastic, because that right there catches their attention immediately. Most telemarketers or people that are scamming people are very monotone. They don't, it's a sketchy thing. So I always come off as like, I know the person. And honestly, I've had a lot of people be like, do I know you? And I'm like, no, not yet, but, and I just keep going. So I'll be like, my name is Caitlin. I'm a life insurance agent with Senior Life Services. I was just giving you a call. I saw that you inquired about, getting some life insurance and having your daughter as the beneficiary. Is that something that you were still looking into? And they're usually like, yeah, and they tell me the reason why they were looking into it. So I try to find a solution to their problem more than just selling them the product. So that's when I'll be like, okay, well, I confirm their date of birth, their address, and then I get to know them a little bit more, trying to figure out what exactly am I trying to solve in this. Do you have coverage? Are we adding additional? Is this a brand new policy? Are you trying to have a burial or cremation? How much coverage are we going to need? And then kind of figure out where they're at financially, because a lot of the time I see people come in with high premiums that they can't really afford, and it scares them away. So I try to find something that I know will be comfortable for them monthly, because if it's not going to make sense to them, they're going to end up canceling, or not pay it at all. So
Yeah, for sure. What do you try to do to mitigate chargebacks and cancellations? Try to lower that.
if I call the client back and I try to see if it's because if it was the premium was too high, or what their actual reasoning was. If that's the case, I try to come down on coverage. I'm like, hey, you can always come down on the coverage. Let's lower your premium a little bit. At least it's something better than nothing. Because if you don't have anything right now, it's a day one benefit if that's what they qualified for. Something, God forbid, were to happen tomorrow, you're already covered. So if you can't afford the 20, let's go down to 10 or 15. And if later on down the line you decide you want to add more, I'll be your agent for the rest of your life. So you can always give me a call and we can always add more coverage.
Okay, cool. Is there anything you do beforehand to help increase your business quality?
Um, as far as
I know
trying
it's
to
kind of
save the
hard because you
business,
never know. You get people who are like, "I am so glad you helped me," and then like 3 weeks later, there's a stop payment, or then
yeah.
people who you argue with for an hour and they pay for years. So you never know.
Yeah, like it depends. Like a lot of people will they'll talk to their family at that point, like, oh, they already have a policy, so I don't really need
Mm,
anything additional. But mainly the thing that I run into is people just run into financial hardships and they just can't afford the coverage at all.
okay. I mean, that happens in final expense. We're dealing with people who typically on the lower end of the income spectrum, and we do our best to help them as much as possible. Now, you also take live transfers, right?
Yes, I love live transfers. That's my
Awesome.
go-to.
Cool. So we're pretty blessed here. We get like essentially unlimited live transfers. But how do you handle a live transfer when someone calls you, or when you get a transfer? I guess.
I introduce myself, and the first question off the bat I ask is, are we adding additional coverage, or is this a first-time policy for you? So that way they know exactly, like, if they didn't know what the call was really about, now they do, and I kind of can take it from there. That way I figure out, are we adding to something because you don't have enough and you only have 5,000 and you want 15 total or 20 total for a complete, funeral and burial, or are we just looking to something that's a first-time buyer and kind of figure out what their needs are exactly off the top.
Okay, cool. So if you get it, like, I'll do a live transfer here, right? So, hey, Caitlin, this is Justin. I have Betty on the line here. She lives in the state of Louisiana. Betty's looking for a quote on life insurance. Thank you.
I'm like, hey, Betty, how are you?
Great.
My name is Caitlin, Betty. I'd be happy to take care of you today. Now, Miss Betty, do you currently have life insurance in place, or would this be a first-time policy for you?
I don't have anything.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm glad that I'm here to help you. I would be more than happy to see what we can do and, shop around for you and find some benefits that would be beneficial to you. Now, Miss Betty, what was your date of birth?
Um, cool. Let's run through it a little bit because this will
Yeah,
go to the next part of the presentation.
sure.
August 1st, 1940.
Okay, perfect, Miss Betty. Well, you sound great for your age. That's awesome. Now, I'm
Thank you.
assuming by your voice that you're a non-smoker. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I never
perfect.
touched it a day in my life.
That's awesome, Miss Betty. I could tell you sound really good. And now, as far as like with your health, what do you take any medications for?
I have high blood pressure. I gotta get my Betty hat. One second. There we go.
That's great.
I got high blood pressure.
Okay, and that's all? Nothing major going on with like your heart, liver, lungs, kidneys, anything like that?
No, I hope not.
All right, Miss Betty. Well, you sound great. So a little bit about us. I was just asking some of those questions because we're a brokerage. So I kind of shop around for you, find a good company that would be beneficial to you. So by the sound of your health, it looks like we can get you with our top company that we write with called Pioneer Security. They're based out of Waco, Texas, and they're rated A plus with the Better Business Bureau. Now, Miss Betty, are you familiar with whole life?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, it just means that you're locked in at your age at that rate forever. It's never going to increase or decrease on you like a term policy would. And it also has some really good benefits with it. It comes with double accidental on the policy, so the face amount would double if something were to happen to you in an accident. And it also comes with terminal illness confined care. So if you were ever deemed terminally ill, you no longer have to make the payments to the policy. It's paid up in full, and you receive that money while you're still living. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, now, Miss Betty, are you wanting to do a cremation or a burial, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, burial.
Burial. Okay, so I would say anything, between 10 to 20,000, but I want it to be something that's going to be affordable for you. Now, is there a certain, price range that you're wanting to stay around, or is it more about, how much coverage that you're carrying? Like where are
I'd
you at
want to
with
just
that?
make sure it's taken care of.
Taken care of. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get some discounts in there for you as well. I gave you that non-smoker discount. Now, I also want to make sure that you're on Social Security too. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. And then also as well, if you bank with one of their preferred banks, we give you a discount for that too. Who do you bank with?
Uh, 5-star credit union.
Perfect. So I'm going to give you a discount for that as well. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the 10. I'm going to work my way a little higher and then tell me kind of financially what would be a good fit for you.
Awesome. Cool. So
There we go.
sweet. Now, how far in? I'm not Betty anymore. How far in are you quoting people? Now my hair looks all
I'm
crazy. What's
quoting
up today?
pretty early. I quote between honestly like really early, between 3 to 4 minutes. I'm quoting.
Oh,
Um, be,
really?
yeah, I quote early.
Wow,
I
that's
kind I
awesome.
kind of do it backwards because if they're not even interested in the price, then why am I going to keep going?
Okay, I like
So
that.
yeah, so I build rapport as once I confirm everything in their health, and then I'm trying to, I'm building rapport as well sometimes in there too. Like, oh, were you born in Pennsylvania? Were you born in Kentucky? Okay, I'm down in Florida. You ever been down here? So I kind of build that as I'm still quoting. But once they tell me a price, and I'm like, okay, cool. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do the application with you, make sure I can get you the approval, and then I'll explain everything I'm gonna send out to you. And then I build the rapport as I do the application, and then I do it that way. Because that way, if
Awesome.
I'm building 15, 20 minutes of rapport and then I'm going into quoting and they don't want it, I just wasted all my time.
Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
Cool. So you, I think the thing is, guys, though, I think a lot of people would. I mean, that's awesome. Like it, I feel like have other people tried to copy you with doing that and run into an struggle?
No, they've actually liked it.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
awesome. So she just goes right into it, guys, right into the quote. Now, on an outbound call, you do the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a little bit more. I try to build the rapport starting a little bit earlier because they're not being transferred to me, so obviously they have no idea like why I'm calling them.
Yeah.
But once I find the interest in them, that's when I kind of start, small talking. Okay, so your daughter's going to be the beneficiary. How many kids do you have? So I small talk with them a little bit, but I'm
Cool.
still quoting earlier. That way I know kind of where I'm going with the call.
All right, awesome. Yeah, like I found that like a lot of live transfers, it's either like they want it or they don't. It's
Exactly.
like they're either like, I thought this was for car insurance, I hate you, don't call me, or they're like, yep, and they're like totally like cool through the whole thing.
Exactly.
Awesome. Cool. So now, say you get to the say that happens, and I'm like, I don't know, I got to think about it. When you quote me and you're like, which one's best, and I'm like, I got to think about it.
I'm like, okay, well, which one you think would be a better fit for you if you just had to pick one for now? Because if let's say we start off with the 15 and you can't afford it, we can always go down and come down on the coverage. Or if you just want to pull the trigger on the 15, that's fine too. And then, we can see if we can get you qualified. Either which way, I need to know, one or the other because I want to make sure I can get you qualified. If I can't get you qualified and we don't even know if it comes back, then we're not really getting anywhere. So there's nothing to really think about until we even know you have an approval with the company.
Okay, cool. So what's the hardest objection typically? What's like a telltale sign that you're like, yeah, this person's not gonna buy, and they're just kind of like pulling you along.
Um, Usually when it comes down to like social and banking.
And
That's
they
when I can
won't.
really, because I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll do the 10. And then, I start off with their name, middle name, I work my way down the application. And then usually when I go from, okay, so you get your benefits on the first, the third a month. Okay, the third. All right, perfect. Now what's your social? And right there, I kind of get the pushback. Okay, well, I still kind of want to think about everything first. I'm like,
Oh,
that's
okay,
fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Do you ever have anything where like you can tell in a call when someone just like doesn't really have some people you can tell they just don't care if it's
Yeah, oh,
if
yeah,
they
immediately. I can read that immediately. I'll kind
okay.
of, if I sense that, I push a little, I go faster, I'm like, okay, this guy's wasting my time. I'm just gonna be like, all right, cool. I'll run through like the beginning of it. I'll give him the quote and I'll be like, what do you want to do? Because
Okay,
at that point, I know they're wasting my time.
awesome, cool. And that comes with time, guys, being able to hear that in a call. Like if someone is like when I'm listening to an agent's call, I can tell pretty much like pretty quickly like, hey, this person's there, and I know whether they should keep pushing in the close or not. If the person's just kind of like scared because it's a trust thing, or they just don't really care about it at all. So
Exactly.
cool, awesome. So I've by the way, Caitlin, guys, she works in the office a couple hours north of me. She works at her home office. I'm down in Southeast Florida. She's Central East Florida, I guess, near Vero Beach. And but I go there frequently, and I've seen her. They are working, and she's super, super consistent. I'd say, what did you usually get to the office about 9:30?
Yeah.
Cool. Gets to the office about 9:30. And when she's working, she's working. Like if we weren't talking right now, she wouldn't be just hanging around the office, chit chatting. She just gets right to it. Maybe she'll like, her friend sits next to her. Sometimes she'll like bust his balls or whatever, and then, then her friend sits behind her too. They'll like, tease each other or whatever, and but they have fun. But what do you do to stay focused and stay committed?
Money, honestly. Like I need money. So I'm here to work. I'm here to make sure, my bills are paid. I help take care of my dad as well. So I have goals and things I'm truly committed to, and I won't let anything to stop me or get in the way of that.
Awesome, that's huge. I found with a lot of people who are successful in this business, they set it, they pick a goal, and that there's an object of desire that they have, and nothing comes in their way of achieving that. So, what does your weekly schedule look like for work?
Um, I try to get to the office at 9:30. I wake up, much earlier than that. I try to go to the gym, get everything done that I need to, be in my seat and be dialing by at least 10. and I don't stop until my minimum every day is at least 2 sales a day. I don't leave the office until I at least hit two, but my goal is three. So I figured if I do at least 2 to 3 a day, 5 days a week, I'm around 10,000 AP a week. That's my new floor. And then also too, I try to make sure that I hit a commission goal as well every week. So
Awesome.
unless I'm on target for that, then I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure. So sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the type of sale can determine if you're going to keep pushing, I guess, right? So if it's like,
Exactly. If you get a direct express or the premium's not that high, then I keep going. Like yesterday, I did 4 sales, and I was like, all right, here we go.
wow,
It's a fast start Monday.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a beast day. Cool. So, what got you into insurance?
Honestly, I just knew there was money in the industry if you are committed, because a lot of people think it's just a easy breezy. You hop on the phone, you make a sale, it's one, two, three, it's done. But it's not. You really have to want this. And I knew if I at least was committed to it, I could do it. So I literally randomly one day I was talking to a friend. I was like, hey, I think I want to get into like sales and life insurance. Like, oh, I know the perfect person, and they introduced me to them, and I was like, all right, I'll take the test and I'll see what happens, and I can talk to people, so I didn't think it'd be a problem, so it was pretty easy.
That's cool. Now, do you feel like what you did before helped you with your career now?
In a way, yeah. It helps me be able to read people, like through their voices, like you were talking about earlier. Like it really takes time to be able to understand what this person's really doing with you on the phone. If they're wasting your time, if you could tell they're still hesitant, if they're going to be a complete, sell themselves kind of person, what it is that you're really, what you're doing. So I'm able to distinguish the voices that way with that too, and kind of tell whether people are twisting my arm or not.
Cool. Awesome. So, if someone is just getting started in the industry now, most people watching this work for, or they're independent, so they're going to be buying their own leads, which is a huge challenge to run into. So, what advice would you give to someone who is, even if they're starting in a system like ours where they get a bunch of leads, but what advice do you give to anybody starting out, like in the industry? What's like a few things you'd recommend people to do?
To stay consistent, to set a schedule for themselves and stick to it. Set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, and make sure that you're at least doing the minimum of what you put yourself to. Like, don't, hey, I dialed 300 people today and I talked for 2 hours, but I didn't get anything. All right, guess, whatever. Like, keep going. Show up the next day, because what you build up the day before will pay off the following day. So I've had days, obviously not every day is perfect. So I've had days where I built the pipeline and I've gotten nowhere. But then the next day it's like, boom, I call 3 or 4 people and they're ready to go. So as long as you stay consistent, you have goals that you truly want, you have a why of why you're really here and what you want to see for your future, then I think you can really succeed in the business in general.
Awesome. Cool. What was it that what was it like? What were some of the biggest challenges that you ran into when you started?
Underwriting was probably one of the bigger ones, because we write with so many different carriers, to know what exactly somebody would qualify for, and to know exactly, because you have to multitask. So you have to be able to obviously hold a conversation, know what you're doing, and then being able to see what they're qualifying for. And that was pretty much it. And also objections was a big one for me as well when I first started.
Objections in the greeting or the close or both?
Both, all throughout the call, to be honest. Like getting past that first initial, like they don't even want to talk to you, and then at the end when you're having to close it up and have, social and banking.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Um, so, sorry. So you had said something else. Oh, underwriting. So what did you do to help you learn underwriting?
Well, with us specifically, we have great coaches in training. So I would just always text my coach in the middle of, like, I'm talking to them. I'm like, okay, cool. Like 52 high blood pressure or seizures or, COPD, whatever the case is. And they would be like, all right, boom, like, standard or whatever company, whatever policy, whatever it was that I was trying to do. They would just run it by me, and then I can be able to pull up the quotes and the race and just keep the conversation continuously flowing. So once I knew that, the hardest part is to be able to do the underwriting, get through that, get social and banking, and then you can obviously do the application once you're off the phone with them. So that was my main thing, was making sure that I was giving them the correct premium amount.
Cool. Yeah. So like here, I mean, here are some of that we can. Some people write carriers where they can't do the application when they get off the phone. So now, if you apply with one carrier and it doesn't come back issued as applied for, how do you handle that?
Um, I tried to in the beginning at least kind of create that space for me too. So like, hey, look, we're gonna try with this, but if it does come back, we're probably gonna have to go with somebody else, which is not a big deal because they're still great companies, great premiums. But I just want to go, with my top choice first and see what comes back. So if
Mhm.
it does end up coming back, I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna have to go with, whatever carrier we decide, and it's gonna be this. The benefits are gonna be a little different, but it's still a great company, still great benefits, and you'll still be really pleased. So we'll just go with this one instead. And I kind of don't even give them that option of anything. I just push right into it, and this is what we're getting. This is what you have the option to do. So here we go.
Okay, cool. Now, will you wait to call them back or something? I mean, will you call them back right away sometimes if you apply and it says like, not approved as applied for?
Yeah, I call them back right away. Lately, though, probably in the last like 6 months, I've kept them on the phone while I do the application
Cool.
because I've ran into people not answering again or something happening, and then you're
Hmm.
fighting to get that person back on the line and rewrite them. So I'm like, hang out with me for a couple more minutes, and usually while I'm doing the voice recording, I'm already starting to type up the application, and
Hmm.
then I just keep, talking about their life and whatever they want to hear about themselves. If, as long as you make everything about them, they'll talk to you for as long as they need to. So I kind of keep them on the phone while I do everything. All right, cool, we're gonna hit the submit button, and then whatever comes back, I run it by them and take it from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I found like, well, a lot of when I have an agent submit a deal, I'll try to have them keep the client on the phone, and then if it doesn't get approved as applied for, it's like, hey, start doing another app, like, and then just immediately go into it, like, hey, we got this other, hey, they're coming back with some stuff, we're gonna try this other company here, and blah 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 blah. It's a great company, and then, you know,
Yeah, they don't
what
think twice about it.
yeah, exactly. And sometimes, guys, what can help is if you don't go with like your cheapest, you don't lead with the cheapest carrier. If you lead with someone who's like kind of in the middle range, and then you can sell them on that. If it comes back issued other than applied for, then and you're like, hey, maybe there's a company that has a cheaper rate. Be like, hey, they came back with something they're hesitating, but I did get a notification here that we could apply for potentially a lower rate with another carrier. So let's go with them, and then it's always a good incentive, even if it's like $2 a month. You know how Miss Jones is with cutting coupons. So
Literally.
cool. So, how do you handle distractions that happen in your life? And I know you say you take care of a family member, and you have your own responsibility. So, how do you handle that? Because most people, when they get into this business, it seems like everything else becomes a priority except work, and it gets really tough.
Well, having to take care of my dad and pay for everything like that, I make sure that if I don't work, then it's not going to get done. So I know I have other things that go on in my life, but I always make sure that work comes first, no matter what, no matter what's going on. I mean, anyone can make up any excuse in the book as to why they can't work today or why they're starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I make it a priority to sit down for at least a certain amount of hours a day, and it's non-negotiable for me. And then I usually will handle what I can either, really early in the morning if I can, or I'll make time in the afternoon, the evening or weekends usually get most of my time to get things done.
Okay, cool. So you just make your
I
life
just
work
plan around
around your
work.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Like people should, right?
exactly.
Cool. Well, what are some big goals that you have for yourself? Do you have anything? I know you take care of like I said, take care of a family member. Are there anything in particular that you're really shooting for?
I would like my own house, pay off all my debt, get a new car. I had purchased a car for my dad back in 2017, and then now mine recently just kind of went down the drain.
Mm.
So I just have, goals as far as mainly right now is just paying off my debt. That's one of my top things to be able to save
Yeah,
some money.
yeah. It's just like some shorter term stuff, and then
Yeah.
be able to. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That makes sense. I mean, a lot of people run into debt. When I started in this business, I went into like a huge amount of debt. It was cool. Actually, I was. I'm making it. I'm gonna have another channel for seniors, but I was going over 8 ways that people pay off debt with like credit cards, and it was cool because the method that this guy had, he's like, okay, so if someone has 3 cards, and then they make the minimum payments on each and pay extra on the lowest balance one, and then once that's paid, you take that minimum payment plus whatever else you can pay on the next card, so it's like double, and then it kind of like snowballs towards the last.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then once you're paying the last one, it's just like triple the amount or whatever. So I thought that
That's
was kind of
smart. Yeah.
kind of cool. Sweet. All right. So, do you have any aspirations to have a team or an agency of your own or anything, or like, and some sort of a group of people that you would train and coach, and if, you don't have to. A lot of people don't. But have you ever thought about that? Do you have any goals with that potentially?
Yeah, actually, recently I was just talking to someone about that. So I think soon here in the near future, I think that's definitely going to start. Um, getting some people under me and becoming a coach and working my way up and seeing what happens. But yeah, I love helping people, so that would be nice if I could do that.
I think you would be really good at it because you're really level-headed. Like I've never seen you like wig out or like explode or like have
Yeah.
like a tantrum or something, and that's important because like that's a big part of a part of a leader. People need to see that you're in control of yourself in order for you to be in control of what they're doing too. So
Yeah. And I want to see people succeed, so if I can be a part of that, I would love to be.
cool. Would you rather have someone in the office or remote?
It doesn't matter, honestly. It doesn't matter either which way. If they're here, that's awesome too, because they can be more personable with them. But if it has to be remote and they live somewhere else, then that's cool too. As long as they're challenging themselves and willing to work, then I'm dedicated to helping them.
Cool. So what are some things you would look for in a person to that would be that you'd want to work with?
Their level of commitment, consistency, discipline, kind of a little bit about their background, where they came from, what they're willing to do to get to what they want, and yeah, I guess just them as a whole person. It's weird. I was just talking to one of my friends about this the other day. Like instantly when I see somebody, I can kind of pick up on who they are and like their vibe. So that's
Mhm.
why I like to sit down and talk to somebody to see, because you can usually tell pretty quickly if this person's just, yeah, I'm here to make some money and I hear there's good money into it, but I'm really gonna
Yeah.
dial, t- you know, 10 leads a day and then just hope I make a sale. Like no,
It's
I want
always
to
the
see
license.
that hunger.
Exactly. It's always the people who come in loudest too. I found like the licensed agents who reject me who are like, "Yeah, can I make like 3 or 4 grand a week starting out?" I'm like, "Bro, if you were that good, you wouldn't be hitting me up." I
Seriously,
don't know.
yeah.
It's like, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody watching this who said that to me. It's just like, like be realistic. Like this is a business. It's a career. Like, I didn't get to start to making that for years and after getting into it. But if anybody wants to work with Caitlin, then I'm sure she would be more than happy to take a couple committed people under her wing. She ain't gonna put up with no nonsense. So if your dog gets sick, you're gonna have to put it down. If whatever. But
That's great. Seriously.
yeah. And Caitlin has a new member of her family too. She just got a new little dog. Did you
Yes,
settle on a
yes.
name yet?
River. I'm going with River.
River. Okay,
Yes.
cool. River. She's a cutie. I met her over the weekend. She's a sweetheart. So, but Caitlin, how does someone get in touch with you to chat about anything, or maybe if they're considering working with you?
My cell phone. I don't know how, if you put the number on the video,
Yeah, just
or
say it. Whatever.
area code 772-370-9651. Text me, call me. If I don't answer, leave me a voicemail. Let me know who you are, and I'll reach out back to you.
So
Or you can
it's
do my Instagram, um, which I believe is SLS_K, and then my last name Ibrahim, Ibrahim.
cool. So if someone is looking to learn from Caitlin or work from Caitlin, then 100% you can reach out to her. So what do you, if there's anything you could change right now to make your career easier, what would it be?
Work more.
Work more.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. You can never work enough, honestly.
Do you work Saturdays?
If I'm not where I want to be for the week, absolutely. Or
Cool.
if I'm not really busy, then yes, I
Awesome.
will. I don't mind working Saturdays, and the live calls are great. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, we get live transfers on Saturdays too, which is huge.
yeah.
So cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like could help you. Oh, okay. So what are your favorite lead types to work, other than live transfers, obviously?
A leads. I like A leads.
Okay.
I'll
So
go back and forth with the telemarketing B leads. I like
mhm.
those a lot too, because a lot of people don't work them, and there's just old A leads. So a lot of people haven't even been talked to, and they're like, "Hey, I've been, waiting," or something. You'll hear those, and it's like, "Whoa, okay, all right, let's get into this. What do you need?"
Yeah, exactly. So here, guys, we have A leads and B leads. So between the A, do you like the telemarketing leads or website leads?
I've liked the WA leads, the web
WA
leads.
leads?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So those come from typically either SEO or YouTube. I don't really think we're doing. I don't know how much Facebook we're doing. But also, if you guys want to check in the description of the video, or you can just search on my channel too. I have just put up a new tutorial the other day on how you can make your own final expense lead ads on Facebook. And who's been a huge influence on your career, or who it doesn't have to be one person. Like, who's been a huge influence on your success and your happiness here?
Probably Nikki. She's been my ride or die since I've started. Everything that I've ever needed or wanted, she's had my back 100%. And honestly, like Grant, James, you, like, watching your success is amazing. Seeing your commitment and your dedication is huge. It really pushes me to be better every day.
Well, I appreciate that. So, guys, It's important who you surround yourself with, okay? If you surround yourself with losers, you're going to be a loser. That's just how it goes. If you surround yourself with winners, you're going to be a winner. The people I surround myself with now are way different than the people that I used to surround myself with. And, like, you know, sometimes if I'm like invited to hang out somewhere with someone and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not like the caliber of person that I, I'm looking for in my life anymore. And Caitlin's definitely one of those people who's a high caliber person and is looking for success, you know, in her own life. So what's the biggest sale you ever got?
I think a $326 a month, I believe. Actually, besides that, I had a lady, she already had 2 existing policies with me, and she was an e-lead existing client. I called her back and she wanted more coverage, and I maxed her out with 2 or 3 other companies that day. I think you were there with me, and I was just mind blown. So her total premium that she pays every month is like $769 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here.
So, dude, listen, guys. She sold this woman, like, oh my God. Like, Caitlin wants us to add a carrier just so she can sell her another policy, like, literally.
Yeah. I was like, what else can I do? I'm like looking over to Justin. I'm like, is there anything else I can give her?
Maybe, like, reach out to someone who has other carriers and they'll, like, split the commission with you or something. I don't know.
Yeah. She ended up doing like $155,000 whole life coverage total.
Wow. And she makes her payments every month.
Every month.
Impressive. Yeah. Cool. And you know, it's so funny. The people who spend the most money are usually the coolest ones too.
Yeah. Yeah, they love talking. They're easy to get along with. And then as long as you stay in touch with them and, you know, make them still feel wanted and heard, then they'll keep paying. They're happy.
Oh, yeah, they will. The people who haggle over pennies are usually like the biggest pains in the butts.
Yep. They always cancel.
So if you could buy one gift for yourself with your commissions right now, what would it be?
Wow.
New car?
Probably a new car, yeah.
Cool. All right, well, we'll see you accomplish that goal soon, Caitlin. If anybody wants to work with Caitlin, then you can reach out to her. As she said, 772
370-9651.
Okay. Now, her phone's probably going to explode after this meeting here. But you can just reach out to her. Some things that she's able to provide people are unlimited leads at no cost to the agent. Of course, a different commission structure. She can go over the whole thing with you. So that's it, guys. I hope that... Hey, Caitlin, anything else you want to let people know here?
No, that's it. Just keep working towards your goals and, you know, don't stop until you hit them. Stay consistent no matter with whatever you're doing right now in life.
That's right. Awesome. Well, Caitlin, we appreciate you being here today. I'm sure everybody appreciates hearing from you. And you guys don't want to miss this next video that's coming up. You're going to see how this guy actually sold $84,000 in premium his second month in the business. Thank you all. You definitely want to watch this video.